It's amazing to be standing here in Jerusalem in what was the original entrance to the Beit HaMikdash, the temple that has been the foundation of Jewish worship and biblical faith for thousands of years. You know, Jerusalem was so important, but the temple in Jerusalem was particularly important. This was the center of Jewish faith and biblical practice in the first century, in the days that Messiah lived. It was the temple in Jerusalem that Messiah was brought as a baby for his Pidyon Haben, for his dedication, put into the hands of Simeon and dedicated to the Lord. He would have come here 3 times a year for Passover, Pentecost, Shavuot, and Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, as was the commandment found in the Torah. Remember when he was 12 years old, he came up to Jerusalem as a child, and they couldn't find him, his parents, and he was found teaching in the temple, confounding the sages and the rabbis, asking questions, and with his great wisdom. And this was the first place in the temple that Messiah really began his public ministry in the south here. He went into the temple, John chapter 2, and he overturned the money changer's table. And the reason why that is so significant is because it happened at Passover. And traditionally at Passover, the Jewish children would help their parents clean out all of the leaven from their home, because Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So what was Messiah doing in preparation for Passover? He was in his true Father's house, which is the temple in Jerusalem. Obviously, the temple was so important to Yeshua, to Jesus, and I think it should be really important for us as well. In fact, he cried over its destruction as he prophetically looked out from the Mount of Olives, and he said, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to gather you like a chick gathers her babies beneath her wings, but you are not willing. Behold, your house will be left to you desolate, and you will not see me again until you say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed be he who comes in the name of the Lord." It was in this area that Messiah gave his life as a sacrifice, as the Passover lamb. It was here he resurrected and ascended into heaven. And it's to this temple, to this location, that Messiah is going to return and to rule and to reign and to establish the Messianic kingdom. It's just so amazing to be standing in this place that has been so significant and has such a promise of the future associated with it. But I think the question that we have to ask is, why did God want a Beit HaMikdash? Why did God want to establish a temple to begin with? Basically, God creates heaven and earth. And just like God has a dwelling place above, in the heavens, he wanted a dwelling place below. In fact, the psalmist writes in Psalm 22, Jerusalem is like a city compacted together. What that means is, just like there is a heavenly Jerusalem and a heavenly temple, there is an earthly Jerusalem and an earthly temple, and the two are connected together. That is why there is such precise details about the measurements and the creation and the instructions for the different holy objects that would have been found in the temple, because on earth as it is in heaven, as above, so below. And so that's part of the significance of why God wanted this house here on earth, like he had a house in heaven, both places where worship occurred. But they say in real estate, location, location, location. Location is everything. Why did God choose, out of all the locations in the world, why did God choose this location to establish his presence and to be the place that he will come and rule and reign from? To understand that, we have to go back to Avraham Avinu, our father Abraham. God called Abraham, Genesis chapter 12, he says, Lech lecha, therefore go. Leave your father's house, leave your family, leave your past behind, everything that you've known, and go to the place that I will show you. What was that place? We learn about that place in the last test of Abraham, Genesis chapter 22. God says to Abraham again those same words, Lech lecha, therefore go to the place that I will show you and offer your only son, your beloved son Isaac, there on the mountain that I will show you. And the mountain that Abraham was shown on the third day, he lifted up his eyes and he saw this spot, Mount Moriah, in the place where the Holy of Holies was established, where the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant was. That was the exact location where Abraham offered his son Isaac. It's amazing. That was such a radical act of faith, but even more so, it was a radical act of love. But Abraham putting his only begotten son on that altar in faith, willing to give him to the Lord, he was demonstrated that he was loving God with all his heart, soul, and strength. This is the first place where the most tangible act of the first commandment, to love the Lord your God, by the founding father of our faith, Abraham, was established in this location. That's part of the reason why God loves this place.